You've probably heard 100 different numbers thrown at you when it comes to retirement. Save $1 million, replace 80% of your income, follow the 4% rule. Keep 6 months of expenses in cash. Here's the problem. Those numbers mean a lot less if you get one thing wrong. So today I'm going to show you the most important number that should guide your retirement decisions. It's the foundation, and it's likely not the one that your advisor or your friends are talking about. Hey, it's Jason Solomon again. I'm the president of Tactical Investment Advisors, and I've spent years helping retirees cut through the noise and get where they want to go in retirement. And I want to share those lessons with you. Here's what we're covering today: why the numbers everyone obsesses over can sometimes work against you, what the actual number that matters is, and how to find yours. And finally, how to use that number to make every major retirement decision with confidence. All right, let's jump. The first number everyone gets wrong is the $1 million myth. Financial services companies plaster it all over billboards like it's a finish line. Get to $1 million and you win. Stay under a million and you lose. But watch what happens when you pressure test it. What if you have $1 million, you live in San Francisco with a paid off house, and you have a pension covering your basics? Depending on the size of your pension, that could be an amazing lifestyle during retirement. A $60,000 pension, $70,000 between you and your spouse's Social Security, and 4 to 7% of your investments, depending on how much you want to leave behind to your kids. $1 million with no pension, high healthcare costs, a mortgage still hanging over you. It's the same number, but it's going to keep you up at night. The million tells you nothing about whether your retirement is going to work or not. Second number is the 4% rule. You've probably heard this one presented like gospel. Save enough so you can withdraw your 4%. Never run out of money. Here's what gets left out of that conversation. The 4% rule came up from a study using historical data that assumed a 30-year retirement, a specific stock and bond mix, and fixed spending during a variety of periods of time in the stock market. It was never designed to be a hard rule. It was designed to show that historically, you would have been okay. Some research suggests that many retirees using a 4% withdrawal rate may end retirement with more than they started. All right, think about that. So you're eating rice and beans in your 70s because of a rule that might leave you richer than when you started. Is your goal to leave more than what you started with to the next generation? The third number is income replacement. This rule said that you need to replace 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income. Run that logic for a few seconds. When you were working, a chunk of your paycheck went straight to retirement savings. You were commuting, you were paying payroll taxes, you were buying work clothes, you were eating expensive lunches with your coworkers, you were paying a mortgage. And you might have been paying ridiculous amounts for extracurricular activities for your kids. In retirement, most of those expenses vanish. So why would you need 80% of an income that was funding a lifestyle that you no longer live? So what's the number that matters for you? What's your spending floor? It's not how much you save necessarily. It's what percentage can you withdraw. It's not what your income used to be. The number that plays a critical role for your successful retirement is the minimum amount that you need each month. What are you going to need for housing, for food, for utilities, for insurance, healthcare? Maybe a few things that keep you sane, like a gym membership or seeing your grandkids. This is your baseline. This is your floor. Once you understand it, everything else falls into place. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean with two real situations. Meet Mike and Linda. Their names are changed, but they're real clients. Mark is 64 and Linda is 62. They walked into my office with about $800,000. They thought they failed. We didn't hit the $1 million mark. We're going to have to work another 5 years just to feel safe. When we ran their numbers, this is what we found. Their spending floor was $4,200 a month. $50,000 a year, roughly. Those are non-negotiable expenses. Those are going to be there no matter what. Their combined Social Security at full retirement is $50,000. They hardly need anything from their portfolio to cover their baseline expenses. Everything else, like travel, gifts, dining out, that's all discretionary. They could park a bunch of their investments in a safe solution that earns between 4 and 6%. Some in the markets, take distributions from the market holdings when the markets are doing well. Maybe don't take them if the markets aren't doing so well, if they can stomach the ride. Once they saw their floor, all of their panic disappeared. They were not behind at all. They were way ahead. Contrast that with Steve, who's got $1.2 million. He's got more than $200,000 beyond that $1 million mark. So on paper, he's a winner, right? Here's the problem. His spending floor was $9,000 a month. He was underwater on a rental property, he had high property taxes, expensive healthcare premiums, and his Social Security only covered $3,000 a month. So his portfolio needed to generate, $70,000 a year just to keep the lights on. That's easy to do in these high-flying, bloated markets. But what if equity markets revert to the mean? All of a sudden, Steve's $1.2 million felt tighter than Mark and Linda's $800,000. It's the same game, totally different math. So if you're watching this and you're realizing you've been chasing numbers that might not actually apply to your life, you're not alone. Working with a team like ours will help you focus on what matters. If you want to figure out your real number, I put a link in the description below. Book a time with me or Scott. Here's how you can find your baseline numbers. Pull up the last 12 months of bank and credit card statements and extract every recurring expense you generally can eliminate. This is an exercise that a lot of people don't want to do, and it's one of the most important exercises for retirement. Housing, insurance, utilities, food, basic transportation, medical costs. Leave out your vacations, your gifts, and your restaurants, because those are discretionary. Your floor is the pure survival spendings, the baseline that keeps your life running. Now add up your guaranteed income. Social Security for both spouses, if that's applicable. Pensions, any annuity or fixed income, and rental income that you truly can count on. This money arrives no matter what the markets do. Now, subtract your guaranteed income from your spending floor. If there's a gap, your portfolio should be able to fill in the difference. Everything else above that, it's lifestyle money. Spend it freely when times are good, pull it back maybe when they're not. Now you might be thinking, what about inflation? What about healthcare crises? What about living to 95? Those are real concerns, but here's what happens. Real spending for many retirees declines as they age usually. You travel less in your 80s than in your 60s. You eat out less. You buy fewer things. You golf less. The obvious exception is healthcare, which is exactly why you build a healthcare buffer into your floor from the start. Planning for a worst case in every single category simultaneously does not make you safe. It makes you the person who dies with a pile of money and a pile of regret. Here's the real power of knowing your floor. It gives you permission. Permission to retire earlier than you thought because your floor is lower than your fears. Permission to spend on what matters because you know that your basics are covered. Permission to make decisions based on your actual life instead of an arbitrary rule designed for a hypothetical person who does not exist or for your friend or for your neighbor. Most retirees that I work with are not at risk of running out of money. They're at risk of never enjoying the money they have. At the end of the day, here's the bottom line. The most important number that should guide your retirement decisions is the gap between your spending floor and your guaranteed income. Master that number and every other decision becomes very clear. You'll figure out when to claim Social Security, how much risk to take in your portfolio, whether you can afford to retire now or if you need to work a little longer, whether or not that trip to Italy is reasonable. It all flows from the floor. If you want to sit down and calculate your real number for your specific situation, book a time with us. The link's in the description below. We'll see you in the next video.